Good morning, Yuko.
Good morning.
Good morning. We'll be starting shortly. I'm also waiting for my partner who's doing a live event in Melbourne to make me the host on here so that I could play some music in the meantime through to everybody. But not to worry if he doesn't come on. It's being recorded anyway. I just wanted to record it in a different mode. So Yuko, are you in Tokyo?
Yes, I live in Tokyo right now.
Okay, excellent.
How about
We,
you? You're
I'm
in
in
Australia?
Yeah, I'm in Perth, Western Australia. It's
Oh,
seven.
okay.
It's coming up 7 o'clock for me. Nearly coming up 8 o'clock for you. And Yunuko, welcome. And we've got Lee and Amy. They're in Victoria, in Melbourne, and Kim, I think, is in Queensland. And we've got Con that's coming on. She's just actually coming on from Malaysia. So I'd like to welcome
Hmm.
everybody. We'll be getting started shortly. I'm sorry that we haven't had being able to play some music before we start. But we'll be getting together shortly. Rita, welcome. Well, it's just gone 7 o'clock for me here in Perth, Western Australia. 8 o'clock for those of you in Tokyo. 7 o'clock also for those in Malaysia. And Victoria, well, you're 3 hours ahead of us. So it's what's that, 10 o'clock for you. So welcome. Welcome, Jay.
We have people from
Hello.
Portugal, and it's 11 p.m. their time right now.
Oh, okay. From Portugal. All right. 11 p.m. for Portugal. Now, I do have 7 o'clock in the morning. I've actually got the sun is streaming in to my house here, and I've got some, I don't know where that comes from, that glare. I've been going around closing different blinds, but hopefully it won't be annoying for every one of you. Okay, 7:01. I think we'll get started. And so just one moment so that I can get a little bit organized here. All right. Okay. For those of you that have come on, I think everybody's muted, or Ori, I think, she's just come on. If you can make sure that you're muted, and so that we don't have any background noise. We are recording this, and the reason why we're recording it is that we've got people from right around the world, and we will be putting it up on probably YouTube, because they make a very good the ability to translate in captions. So we'll be getting this recording out to you so that you can review it and maybe have your own captions from your own language so that you can understand it a little bit more. But it's important that you take notes today as much as you possibly can. My name is Kim Broemer, and I'm going to be your host this morning. I normally do this with my business partner, Mr. Wayne Levy. But Wayne at the moment is in Melbourne. He's actually conducting a live event. So we do have live events. So next Saturday, when we're conducting another one of our real talks, he'll be coming on, and you'll get to meet him, and you'll get to understand a little bit more about us. But we run this real talk every Saturday, and at this time, we've got people from right around the world coming on here, people that are interested in, self-improvement, self-help, or personal development. And we put this together really for our business team. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story so you understand where I come from. And the subject that I'll be covering this morning. So just to give you a little bit of an understanding, for myself, I've put together a few notes so that it makes sure that I keep on track. Now, we'll only go for around about 50, 55 minutes. And so it's really important that you take notes. Notes are really important. One of my first mentors said, if life was worth living, it's worth recording. And I do take all my notes in a journal. And by the way, I have journals that go back. This is one of my early journals. This going back to 1983. So I could actually go to my library and take out my journal from different. And by the way, a journal can be not only if you're listening to somebody and taking some notes on goal setting or self-help or self-improvement or personal development, but a journal can be used for just experiencing different things that you have that happen in life. For example, this is going back here. Maybe some of the people from overseas won't understand this so much, but I wrote down here in my journal back in the 27th of September 1983. And it said, today we won the America's Cup. Great exhilaration. Stayed up until 6:30 to watch it. I'm on a field trip in Kalgoorlie. It really does prove that without a dream, we have nothing. And without persistence against the giants, you achieve nothing. Dennis Conner, the loser, went down like a gentleman. So by reading that out, I'm actually feeling that experience that I experienced at that time, going back all that time. And in here also, one of my first mentor sessions with Jim Rowan, and you'll get to know a little bit more about him a little bit later. But this is one of my first goal setting sessions. So I can go back here and back in 1983 and look at my first list of my list of by the way, I got to 47 different my master dream list. And so I can go back and have a look at my journal. So it's really important to take notes. There's some sort of magic that happens when you put it on paper. And so let me just give you a little bit of an understanding where I came from, where I got this information from, and what we'll be sharing today. Look, for me, just my background, I never did well at school. I make a joke sometimes, I failed every subject in year 11 except geography. So I say, I can't count, can't spell, but I know where I am because of geography. And so I had a couple of early jobs when I first left school, and I worked out that I really didn't want to be just an employee. I wanted to be the boss. And I reached out, and maybe it was, and you'll understand a little bit more about this if you ever get a chance to read my book, and I'll share that with you shortly. But, I was very lucky that my parents, my parents come from Greek background. My stepfather's German, so that's where I get my German name. And by the way, everybody's confused with my name. Kim, Broemer. My real Greek name is Kim. And when I went to kindergarten in Australia, they went, Kim, that's too hard. We'll just chop the front bit off and we'll call you Kim. And then Broemer is the German name. So, when I'm in Asia, they're saying, Mr. Kim, and they're looking for a Korean man. No, I'm the Westerner over here. So, but I was very lucky with my parents. They left their job and went into their own business. So I saw when I was growing up, that business was, your ability to be able to be your own boss and have your own time. And I watched that. And because of that, that's what I wanted to do. I reached out. And by the age of 19, I got into my first business. And I was very, very lucky because I was searching. I was looking to do better. And I was searching, and I met one of my first mentors, Mr. George Knight, who introduced me to Paul J. Myers' thinking and trainings. And that's where I first got the understanding of setting goals and becoming and working harder on myself in personal development. So I was very, very lucky that I had some of those early mentors. By the age of 25, I also got involved in the personal development industry, where I was working with somebody that helped me bring out Mr. Jim Rohn to Australia. And Jim Rohn is a world-renowned business philosopher. We brought him here to Australia, and I followed him around the whole country, city by city, taking notes. And really, probably Jim was the one that actually got me thinking and changing my attitude on personal development. He wrote down that your personal philosophy is your greatest determining factor on how your life works out. And only human beings can reorder their lives any day they choose by just refining their philosophy. So hopefully today, just helping you to refine some of your philosophy, you can change the projection of where you want to be in your life. And really important to do that. One of the things that I want to just also let you understand is that we got to be careful of this thing called confirmation bias. Now, what I mean by confirmation bias is that, once you have a view of how something works, we only sometimes embrace information that can confirm that same view, and we outright reject everything else. That's why there's big problems in the world for things happening. I mean, if you look at the United States or in America, 50% of the people that we have, think one way, and 50% think the other way. And we sometimes look at it and go, well, how come they're thinking this way? So, and we have different trainings, and some of you may come along here today and come to our training, and we have, by the way, I think Mr. Wayne Levy, my partner in my business partner, has actually come online. He's actually there. So welcome, Wayne. And I know that you're doing a live event in Melbourne, Victoria. So I'll continue on, and we'll hear a little bit more of Wayne next Saturday when we do another one of our Real Talks. And of course, Lana there in the background too. Okay. All right. I just want to go back to that confirmation bias and that understanding. And by the way, most of us can see back in the background there of different people. Of course, for the recording, we're only seeing me, so you won't be able to see what's actually happening in there, but everybody on this line can actually see what's happening in Victoria. Getting back to confirmation bias, I really just want to get you to understand that you need to, number one, don't be afraid of it. You got to think for yourself, ask good questions, and also question your own assumptions, because sometimes even our own assumptions could be, a little bit wrong. And even this morning, when I go through some of the principles and ideas that I'm going to be sharing with everybody, some of you might be going, I don't understand that. I don't quite understand it. You've all got the ability to reach out to us. Anything that you don't understand, you want a little bit more clarification, reach out to us and we will help you in that understanding. So really important to keep that in mind of what happens with confirmation bias. So with my story, at the age of 25, after, having my journal, having my goals, I sat down with Jim Rohn and I said, Jim, how come I got my goals here, I got my journal here, how come I'm not rich? And he said, well, how many times have you read Think and Grow Rich? And I said, well, I've read it once. He said, well, I've read it 13 times. Jim never used to answer me. He always used to, say something in such a way that would only, get me to reach out and want to know a little bit more. And I said, well, if he's read it 13 times, I got to read it a little bit more. And he said, well, how many times have you read The Richest Man in Babylon? And I said, only once. He said, look, I've read it 13 times. So I went back to those books. I went back to reading and getting the information. And, it's once I got that, and then I thought to myself, okay, that's what I'll do. I'll from the book The Richest Man in Babylon, and there was a little line in there that said, make thy home thy dwelling an investment. And that's what I did. I looked at it and said, okay, well, maybe I should get into real estate. Maybe I should get into property. And that brought me into a number of different areas. And to cut a long story short, I went on to become a property developer, chairman of a public company. I owned 25% of a stockbroking house. I had liquor stores. I had rural interests. And, I had the big house on the river here in Perth and the 2 Mercedes Benzes, and everything was looking wonderful in life. But I still was never free. What I mean by free was I was never free. I was still tied to the businesses. I still remember the story of that, I shared about, I was never able to play clown. Now, what I mean by that is that, my daughter was having her birthday party, little girls with the pigtails, and invite all the girlfriends over to the house, and they're having a birthday party. But I couldn't stay for the party because I had somebody that was flying in, and, I had to meet them. And if I didn't meet them, I could lose maybe the deal that I was doing that would end up, I'd end up losing. And I ended up not going to the party. I came there late, and my little daughter was going, well, where's daddy? Where's daddy? So I was never really free. So at that time, I found also we had a recession here in Australia. I ended up trying to keep everything together. I ended up losing something like $21 million. I lost my self-esteem. I came back, and I wanted to just get everybody to understand something. One of the things that Jim Rohn said, the reason about setting goals, the reason for becoming better than you are is not achieving the goals. The reason is that the person that you become in pursuit of what you're wanting to achieve. And so, he said, look, one of the first goals you should do is become financially independent or financially free, maybe to make $1 million. Not for the sake of making $1 million, because, it's who you become to make that $1 million. Once you've done that, you can give the money away, because they can't take away what you've become. So real important, for me at that stage, I was searching and looking for an opportunity. I found one that was involved in the health and nutrition industry and building a distribution group. And I built a distribution group that now turns over 300 million US a year. And, I now live off the residuals. And we're still looking at doing the same in a number of other different countries. And we're still looking for good people. So keep good notes, write in your journal. Jim Rohn said, very rarely does your income do a flying leap past your own personal development. Now, what does that mean? Very rarely does it make a flying leap past your own personal development. And we've all seen these stories of people that, have won the lottery and won a lot of money all of a sudden. And if you went and saw them again 12 months later, it's actually all gone because they weren't a millionaire to get to keep the money. And we've got many examples that, there is a saying that, that says that if you took all the money in the world and gave it equally amongst everybody, within a very short period of time, it'd all end up back in the same pockets. So it's really important that you work on this yourself, what we call personal development. And personal development is, a relentless commitment to consistent and continual learning. I'm still learning today. Yes, at the age of 19, at the age of 25, I was working hard on myself. But this is not just a once-up. your personal philosophy is your greatest determining factor on how your life works out. And I normally now, I live by a couple of different lines. Number one, I know that attitude is everything. I'd write this down. You know, attitude is a thought held long enough in your mind becomes an attitude. So, you know, if you want to change your attitude, all you've got to do is just change that thought. So I've, you know, often when something happens in my life, I've said, okay, very quickly it happens that I say to myself, I can't help the way I feel, but I can help the way I think and act. So whatever happens, you know, if something happens that you all of a sudden have, you know, you feel sorrow, or you've broken up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something, or that it rains on your parade or whatever happens, you can say to yourself, hey, I can't help the way I feel, but I can help the way I think and act. And all you have to do is just change your thinking and your action will happen. You know, put on some good music, start dancing a little bit, and all of a sudden you'll change the way you feel. You see, and the second line that I've lived by is, it doesn't matter what happens, it's what you do about it. So it doesn't matter what happens. Now, 8 years ago, on my way actually to Japan, it was in spring, it was Sakura time. I started to write my book, and my book was written basically, you know, I wrote it for a number of different reasons. Number one, I wrote it as I dedicated it to my daughter. And my daughter now, by the way, is, I think she's 41, 42. And I'm grandfather as well. So she's brought some other little monkeys along in my life. I wrote a book, and I wrote it on my way. And, you know, it's very funny because remember I said that I failed every subject in year 11 except geography. My old English teacher would be going, he wrote a book. I remember he used to think to himself, Broemer, you know, you can't even read. You know, you're going to be a nothing. And so I wrote a book. It's a very short book, by the way. It's also translated in a few languages. It's also in Japanese as well, in Bahasa Indonesian, and we're looking at doing some more translations and so forth, also in English. But it's only about 100 pages, and it's mainly from a lot of the philosophies and ideas that I had, and that I got from people like Jim Rohn, by Dr. Dennis Waitley, by the different mentors that I've had over my life. And I put it together, for my daughter, because I thought to myself, well, you know, my daughter wasn't going to listen to me. So I thought to myself, well, if I put it in a book, maybe one day my grandchildren will pick it up and go, wow, was this what Grandpa was really like? And maybe it would help. But also, I wrote it also for a lot of our people in our distribution group, to help them in setting bigger goals and helping them in their personal development and changing their life. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit about this. The book is called The Magic of Written Goals, How to Turn Your Dreams into Reality. And that's what I'm going to be covering. If we don't have enough time to really be talking about goal setting, maybe next week when we're conducting our next real talk, and we'll have Wayne, you know, my business partner, Wayne Levy here, we can go through the actual game plan that you need to put down on paper to help you achieve those goals. So this morning, I really want to be just covering the philosophies that you need to have before you set your goals. And the reason for that is that most of us think that, you know, goal setting is writing a list, and, you know, writing a list and then sending it off to the North Pole, and then having some beautiful dreams, dreaming of sugar plum fairies working on your goals, and they're going to give them to you. Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't work like that. I mean, you know, we can write a list and send it to Santa and hope and dream for the sugar plum fairies to go and do that, but that ain't going to happen. Okay, you actually have to do something. I'm sorry. It does take a little bit of work, and there is magic when you have them, when you put them on paper and when you write those goals. So we'll go over that and we'll discuss those over the next coming real talk sessions. So let's just go back here and continue on. I really want to, first of all, define success, all right? My definition of success, and I took this from one of my early mentors, Paul J. Meyer, who Mr. George Knight introduced me to all of his trainings and teachings. And his definition of success was, success is the progressive realization of a predetermined worthwhile goal or personal goal. So it's the movement towards it. You know, if you're here at A and what you want is here at B, most of us think that we're only a success when we achieve B. Well, in actual fact, it's not. Your success is the progressive realization of a predetermined worthwhile goal. It's the movement towards it. So straight away, everybody being on this Zoom call should pat themselves on the back and go, yes, you're all a success already because you've taken the first step towards it. You know, many of us probably achieve different things in our lives, and once we've got it, we go, well, was that all it was? You know, when I sometimes when somebody buys a new car, you know, they buy their new car and it's all smells really beautiful, the leather inside, and I'm going to wash it and keep it clean. And then 2 weeks come Thursday afterwards, it doesn't matter about the dirt, and you know, all of a sudden the shininess has gone. And we know a lot of people that have got the big houses and the Mercedes Benzes and all the trappings of success, but they're still miserable. And really, to understand success is that you always got to have another goal. You've got to have a continual goal. It's that progressive realization of a predetermined goal. It's the movement towards it. So that's what success is. Now, we're all affected by different things. We're affected by our environment, you know, by the weather. You know, last month in the month of November, my wife Mariani and I, we spent 20 days in Japan. We went to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, and you know, we went there for the just the change of the colors of the trees. You know, that was so beautiful. And but we went there too soon. Apparently, you know, it's been a very warm summer there, and it's been a little bit longer, and we missed it. We came back to Australia, and now we're watching all the photos of all the beautiful trees. So, you know, we're affected by the weather, we're affected by the seasons, we're affected by your surroundings, where you live. We're affected by our desk. You know, if our desk has got so much clutter on it, that's what happens actually in our mind. You know, so we're affected by a lot of those different things. One of the best things that you can do to really get your mind clear is clean your desk. Okay, Jim Rohn used to say, you want to know how somebody, you know, is at you know, running their company, have a look at what their garages look like. So if their garage is all a mess, guess what? Their mind and their business acumen becomes a mess. So we're affected by our environment. We're also affected by events that happen in the world. You know, world events, country events, or local or community events. We're affected by those things. You know, we're all affected a couple of years ago with the pandemic. You know, all of a sudden, everybody then changed the way that you know, things were. We're affected by 9/11 when all of a sudden, you know, when the towers went down, all of a sudden getting on an aeroplane completely changed. You know, security changed, all these different things. So we're affected by events that happen. We're also affected by knowledge, what we read. We're also affected by what we don't read. You know, Jim Rohn talks about the man that all of a sudden lost his family, you know, got divorced because he didn't read the book on how to live with another person. So we're affected by what we read. We're affected by what we don't read. We're affected by what we think. You know, what we think, our associations, the people we hang around with. You know, when you leave somebody that you've spent some time with, do you leave with your, do you feel like you've been inspired, or do you feel, more and more, I always ask myself, do I feel inspired, or I feel like I want to go out and pursue my goals, or do I feel like, um, like I feel empty or negative? So be careful of who you associate with. Jim Rohn said that, we become the average of the 5 people that we spend most of the time with. And this is a completely different subject that we'll cover, at maybe one of our real talks about association. And number 4, we're affected both by positive and negative of, our past and also into the future. And that's why it's important to keep a journal and time to, to reflect on. Make sure that you spend time reflecting on your journal. I was asked by Wayne Levy a little while ago, what are you reading at the moment? And I said, well, I'm actually rereading my journals. I'm going back over my journals and rereading the information. So, it's really important to look. By the way, these things can be either positive or negative. So a list of goals accomplished is really important. That's one way that you can actually change how things happen. For example, one of the real key things that I recommend everybody do is actually write a list of goals accomplished. And in my book, it's actually a workbook. The workbook is there. It's actually got some pages in there where you actually have to start taking some notes. Is writing a list of goals accomplished, of what you've already achieved before. And I actually have my book. It's actually it's a little bit of a what I would call like a dream board, but it's a dream book because I actually put my goals in here. And once I've achieved those goals, I've put a big tick on there of achieving them. When I wrote the book, 2015, I put a big tick on there. And this is when I bought my AMG GTS, put a big tick on there. And so goals accomplished can help you by writing a list, because sometimes we forget. And it can be little things, small things, could be things that, like I got my progress certificate at school for swimming. Whatever that is, put as long a list of accomplishments. Why? Because when things go down, when they collapse, like, for example, when I lost everything and I lost $21 million, 30 million of my money, 8 million of the bank's money, it was my goals accomplished that helped me out of there. I was able to go back and, well, I did it before, I could do it again. Everything comes back to your attitude. So goals accomplished can actually help you. And it actually also puts you in an abundance mindset. Once you have a look at all the goals that you've accomplished, it gives you that abundance mindset. And then you can start to work on gratitude. One of the biggest things, and many of us have heard this, about gratitude. Once you're in line with gratitude, all sorts of things can happen, because it actually starts to affect your self-image. Now, this is one of the real important factors of understanding goal setting, is understanding your self-image. And what I mean by your self-image is this, really. Look, if I took you up in a helicopter, okay, and I blindfolded you, and I took you into the middle of Australia, and then gave you a map and said, okay, take the blindfold off. Here's your map. Go to Sydney. You'd go, well, I can't, because I don't know where I am. You've got to show me where I am on the map. So it's really important that to set your goals, you've got to know where you are first. You've got to become aware of yourself. This is a subject that, we can actually probably do it at another time, because it's subject what I call your self-image. A couple of good books to read on that is either Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. It was written back in 1960, because the self-image is really important. Now, what the self-image is, now, whatever your belief is, whatever God you believe in, I believe that he made us a 10 out of 10. Okay, so first of all, you've got to look at when you were born, you're a 10 out of 10. Now, by the way, when you're born, this is how I look at myself. When we're born, we're like this computer, and, but we've got no program. So as a baby, we're looking around. This is how life works. You're looking at your peer group, at your parents, and you're going, okay, that's how life works. So we're taking all this information in. Now, when you were born, you're a 10 out of 10. And as we grow up, we see how things work. We start to look at the me I think I am. Then we go to school, and they say, well, you're too short, you're too tall, you're too fat, you're too skinny. And we start people are putting limitations on us. And this becomes the me I think I am. So the me I am was a 10 out of 10 when you were first born. The me I think I am, your self-image, and then the me I think I wish I were. And that's who you want to become. And what we're trying to do in working on your self-image is to bring that, that me I wish I were closer together to the me I am, so that you can take away those limitations that are stopping us from achieving many, many different things. Also, another book, a good book that I recommend, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's another one that can help understanding your self-image, your thermostat. It's like we're like the thermostat in your car when or your thermostat at home with the air conditioning. Okay, you set it at a certain limit, and if it gets too hot, the thermostat will come on and cool the place down. So we have a thermostat up there of limitations or limiting beliefs, and we end up sabotaging ourselves because of these limitations and limiting beliefs. I think Dr. Dennis Waitley, who wrote a number of books, but the 10 Qualities of a Total Winner, he wrote in there a little poem. Now, everybody, I'm sure everybody knows Star Wars, and that little R2D2, the little robot that goes, okay. So he wrote a little poem, and maybe if I can share it with you, you'll get to understand. He said, RD2, okay, is Are You Me Too? Okay, Are You Me Too poem. And he said, I have a little robot that goes around with me. I tell him what I'm thinking. I tell him what I see. I tell my little robot all my hopes and fears. He listens and remembers all my joys and tears. At first, my little robot followed my command, but after years of training, he's gotten out of hand. He doesn't care what's right or wrong, or what's false or true. No matter what I try now, he tells me what to do. So it's real important to understand that we have these limiting beliefs that stop us. To stop most of those, there's a number of things that we can do. Number one, association. Okay, the people that you hang around with, the information that you're getting. So hopefully our real talk every Saturday morning can help you come in and change some of the ways that you're thinking, get rid of some of those self-limiting beliefs. And see, in isolation, it's difficult, but with association, it's a lot easier. So if you're associated with a group of people that all got a common purpose, that have a common goal, Jim Ryan said, when one or two of us have got, a dream, it's impossible to be able, it'll be impossible for anybody to sort of break that. So it's important that association, affirmation and visualization. Now, affirmation and visualization are very important too. Affirmation, an affirmation is a set of words that affirms something. Now, what I mean by that is this: affirmations. You've got to be very careful what you tell yourself, okay? Because some of our affirmations can be positive and negative. Now, you heard me earlier say a negative affirmation. Now, remember when I said I failed every subject in year 11 except geography? So I can't count, can't spell, but I know where I am. Guess what? I've just told my subconscious mind I can't count and I can't spell. So I'm reaffirming that information. You've got to understand that our subconscious is a goal-seeking mechanism. Whatever we tell it, it will go out and search. So if we're telling it the negative, it will do that. So what it will do, okay, I'll make sure that you can't count. I'll make sure you can't spell, Kim, because you've affirmed that. So in affirmations, you've got to affirm it. And you've probably seen, sports players, top sporting team people, top tennis people, that throw the ball up and we would probably go, oh, you klutz, got it out. But the professionals go, next time it'll be in. So they're affirming in the positive. They don't say, oh, you idiot, or you klutz, you missed it. Oh, next time it'll be in. So they're affirming it. So what you need to be saying, even if, for example, you want to lose weight, you say, okay, I'm going to lose 15 kilos. Well, see, that affirmation is I'm going to lose 15 kilos. So what happens is your subconscious says, oh, okay, I'm going to help you go towards, it's going to help you focus on the losing of the 15 kilos, what you need to be saying is, I am 15 kilos lighter now. So that the subconscious goes, oh, so you are now that. So whatever you want to do, when you say your affirmations, you've got to say them in the positive tense as if you've already have them. Okay, and what that also helps with visualization. Visualization is that visualize. For example, I haven't got it here, but when I was, putting on my dream board, and when I was looking at getting my AMG GTS, I actually had a little toy of the GTS on my desk, and every time I looked at it, like I already have it. The car is already mine. I think it was said, I mentioned it in my book, that depending on your belief, but in the great book, the Bible, it says in Hebrews, it says that, I know, in the Bible, it says, ask and you shall receive. So, okay, ask and you shall receive. So you only need to ask and you will have it. That's what real goal setting is. Ask and you shall receive. But some of us go, we ask, and then we go, well, where is it? If I said to myself, I want a yellow Rolls Royce, and I asked, where is it? Okay. Well, it says there that, ask through faith. Now, then you've got to go and look at another chapter and say, well, what is faith? Faith is the evidence of things hoped for. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, but things hoped for. So the evidence that you have it is what we call faith. So you should be asking, okay? You ask, I want, like this is what I want, through faith. So the evidence that you already have it. So what you need to be saying is you've got to go, okay, I want a yellow rose. Thank you for giving it to me. You've got to give thanks for receiving it because you already have it through faith. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, but things hoped for. But then a little bit later it says, faith without works is dead. So you actually got to do the work. So it all makes sense. You got to ask, you already got it. You got to say, thank you for giving it to me. And then doing the work necessary to achieve it, because without work, nothing happens. So it's really important that, you know, in setting goals, that we have that the affirmation and visualization. I really love Daruma dolls. By the way, I love lots of Japanese things. You can see behind me here is my my Japanese samurai swords. By the way, they are real. They're 500 years old. But anyway, I won't go into that. But I love Daruma doll. The reason is when you have a Daruma doll, it comes with no eyes. And so once you set a goal, you color one eye in. And every time you see your Daruma, you go, he's got it, or she's got their eye on my goal. It gives you that visualization of what you're going for. Now, you can't, once you've completed your goal, you color the other eye in and you have a celebration. And the reason why they're round and made out of plaster of Paris is that if you push him over, he comes back up. And there's a Japanese phrase that says, you know, fall down 7 times, but get up 8. So the importance is on, you know, reaching out to go get your goals. We're going to fall over. It's not the falling over, it's the getting back up. So it's really important to, you know, to work on that. And we'll maybe discuss, you know, affirmations and visualizations in another one of our real talks. So the way of overcoming your self-image is a list of goals accomplished and getting in line with gratitude. And it's really important to write that list out. Now, we don't have enough time to go through and do a workshop on writing out all the, I'm going to give it to you as homework. So homework, make sure that you write a long list of, you know, of goals accomplished, what you've been able to achieve in the past. And that way it will bring gratitude in. Once you have gratitude, things will open up a lot more for you. So in goal setting, Paul J. Meyer said some few words that I take very literally. And what he's basically said is this: whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and then enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. So just think about that. So let's have a look at those words. Whatever you vividly imagine. So once we set a goal, it's got to be vividly imagined. It's got to be crystal clear. Once that goal is crystal clear, okay, then it's got to be ardently desired. In other words, it's got to be your goal. It can't be something else. Now, some of us have had goals put on us by our parents, by our peer groups, but we wonder why we didn't achieve that goal, because it really wasn't yours. It's got to be your goal. You've got to really work on it to find out whether this is your real goal. So whatever you vividly imagine, it's got to be crystal clear. Ardently desire, it's got to be really serious. It's got to be burning desire that you want it. And then you've got to sincerely believe that you already have it. And then enthusiastically act upon. You've actually got to act upon, will inevitably come to pass. So it's how we see our future. Do you see your future with apprehension, or do you see it with anticipation? Now, we're nearly getting there in 15 minutes, but I just want to cover a couple of more things first. Your why is important. Okay, you've got to understand that the why becomes the how becomes easier when your why is more important. You'll learn this as, it's more important to know your why to do something than it is to know how to do it. Oftentimes the how is, laborious, tedious, and even frustrating. If there's not a compelling enough reason why, then you're not likely to persevere through the how. Sometimes, I had this shared with me, which actually changed my whole thinking orientation on goal setting. One of my mentors said, look, he said, before you build your business plan, build your life plan. Figure out what kind of life you want to have first. Like, where do you want to live? What type of people do you want to be surrounded by, etc.? Do you want to work nights? Do you want to work weekends? Do you want to travel? How much? Where? Do you want to be home for dinner every night? Do you like certainty and routine, or do you like, variety and desire, certainty once in a while? Do you want a short commute? What type of environment do you want to go to each day? How do you want to dress? He said, then build your business, your business plan or professional plan around those criteria. Make your business, plan fit your life plan, not the other way around. Because I did it the other way around. I looked at my business plan and then tried to fit my family into that. And hey, it was backwards. Most of us have done done that. We build our business plan first, outlining our big goals, plans, and ambitions, and then figure out how our family life fits around that. Usually at the sacrifice of our family, social life, and we reach the end of our life. We don't want to reach the end of our lives and go, oh, look, I paid too high a price for that. So work out what's most valuable in your life. And then with the law of attraction, many of us hear about this law of attraction. You see, experience, and get what you look for. If you don't know what you're looking for, you certainly won't get it. By the very nature, we are goal-seeking creatures. Your brain will always trying to align your outer world with what you're seeking and, experiencing in your inner world. When you instruct your brain to look for things that you want, you'll begin to see them. In fact, the objects of your desires are probably already there. They already existed all around you, but your mind and eyes weren't open to it. It's actually how the law of attraction really works. It's not some, mysterious, esoteric, voodoo, as sometimes it sounds like, or it's described like. It's far simpler and more, practical than that. You define your goals, you give your brain something to focus on, and you look for it. You give your mind a new set of eyes, to see the people, the circumstances, the conversations, the resources, the ideas, the creativity. And so you can go about matching up on the outside with what you want on the inside, your goal. That's it, simply. So the difference on how you see, experience, draw ideas of people is really profound once you've got clearly defined goals. So everything, in your life, you've created. Whether where you are today is a combination of all your actions, your inactions, your choices, and reactions that you have created. Expectation determines the direction of your creation. So our expectation is made up of our thoughts, what we think about, and with what we're thinking, whatever input you're receiving, like what we see on the TV or what we read, what we have on the radio. If we're listening and watching, everything about doom and gloom, what are we thinking about? You get in life what you create. Expectation drives the creative process. So what you expect whatever it is. Whatever you're thinking about, your thought process, the conversations in your head is based on the results you create in life. So what you think about comes about. That's why the great books are focused on thinking, like Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, The Magic of Thinking Big. So this is the flow. The flow is your beliefs govern your choices. So whatever you believe in governs your choices. Those choices govern your behavior. Your behavior governs your habits, compounded over time to achieve your goal. And by the way, that works in the negative as well. Negative beliefs, govern your negative choices, negative behavior, negative habits, and compounded over time, well, you're never going to get whatever you want. So one of the biggest challenges is standing guard at the door of your mind. I use the expression, become a fish. Okay. What I mean by that is that, a fish comes from the ocean, but when we catch the fish, what do we do with the fish? We clean it, and then we, put it in a fry pan, we cook it, and we add salt. And you think, well, hang on, why am I adding salt? When it comes from the ocean, it should be already salty. No, 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 no. The fish comes from the ocean, but he doesn't become of the ocean. So what I mean by that, become a fish. Be of this world, but don't take in all the negativity. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Don't take in, be in this world, but don't become a fish. Be standing guard at the door. Be careful what you're listening to, what you're thinking, because that will create that will create your creative process, and your expectation will bring that in, and it will bring it, in. Now, we've gone now, I think, a little bit it's now 7:55 for me. In my book, I actually put a plan of action. It's an 8-column where I talk about, setting your goal once you've got it crystal clear, and then writing another column, and then working out what are the roadblocks and obstacles that are going to stop you from getting that goal. And then I go on and talk about solutions. What are the solutions, to those roadblocks and obstacles? Then we talk about time, incrementalizing, making, in other words, just bringing it down, incrementalizing, inch by inch it's a cinch, but yard by yard it's hard. In other words, reverse engineer what you want to make it what you need to do each day, each week, each month, and so forth in achieving your goals. Then we go through reasons, emotional reasons, how's it going to make you feel? And then affirmations, writing down all the positive, negative affirmations. In other words, put a real game plan into place. Then putting together, your dream board, or your Broemer dolls, or your goals book. But the most important thing is the action. Okay. And that is that what are you going to do that's actually going to be, helping you achieve those things? So I'm going to sort of, finish there. And I really just want to say that the most important benefit of setting goals isn't achieving your goal. It's what you do and the person you become in order to achieve your goals. And that's the real benefit. And we will continue to talk about the philosophies of helping every one of us achieve all our goals and dreams. And in the following weeks that we do our real talk, so we're doing another one of these next Saturday, same time, same station, okay, same link. And if for those of you that this is your first time and you didn't understand something, please reach out to us, and we'll help you to understand it a little bit more and help you achieve your goals and your dreams. And for all our others that I will have this up on our social media. I'll have the recording so that you can watch it. And those of you that are, that English is your second language, having it on YouTube, you'll be able to maybe have the subtitles, come out in your own language. Although sometimes, Google Translate and everything else makes those really mean completely different things. So hopefully Google will get it right. So I want to thank everybody for coming on this morning, and thank you for listening. Hopefully everybody took lots and lots of notes, and look forward to meeting every one of you again next Saturday. and my partner Wayne Levy will be here and to help us discuss some of these things and a little bit more. So thank you very much, and have a really great week, and I will see you again next Saturday. So thank you. Bye for now.